Hi friends, welcome to or welcome back to the channel Jane Reads. My name is Jeanette, and today, in honor of Valentine's Day, I am going to be talking about 10 of my favorite couples in books. So these are books that I have absolutely loved, and the couples just stick out to me. When I was creating this list, I put the list together based on the couples that I knew the names of right away, that I could pull and I'm like, okay, that is that, they are there, that, right? So we're going to start with the very first book that is a favorite for me, and it is off season, but I'm going to mention it anyways, and that is The Christmas Bargain by Shanna Hatfield. So this is a marriage of convenience story. It is historical fiction. We are following Luke, who is a banker, and Philly, who has been raised by her father, and since her mother passed away, her father has not treated her well. And her father gives her to Luke as payment for a loan that he owes the bank. And so we follow these two characters, get to know each other, and fall in love. And I love the way this story develops. It is just so sweet. Okay, book 2 is also historical, and that is Heart on the Line by Karen Witemeyer. This is book 2 of the Ladies of Harper Station series, but you do not need to read this series in order to love these characters as much as I did. I read this book first, and while I didn't know about the community of Harper Station, I figured it out in this book. Reading book 1 would give you a full knowledge about the community and other people around them, but you don't have to. And so in this one, we are following two telegraph operators, Grace and Amos, and who have built up a connection over the telegraph wire. Well, one day Amos hears something that makes him believe that Grace is in trouble, and he comes rushing to town to try to help her, not realizing that Harper Station doesn't have very many men in town, so he really sticks out, and the ladies believe that he is the troublemaker. And so we follow that. How does he get out of it? Does he rescue Grace? And Amos is a telegraph operator. He is not your strong cowboy you would expect in the 1800s Texas. And he rides a bicycle instead of a horse. And I loved him. And the way these two developed the relationship, I loved it. And another Karen Witemeyer book, so another historical fiction, and another marriage of convenience story. It's one of my favorite tropes. And that is More Than Words Can Say. It is book 2 of the Patchwork Family series. Again, you can read it as a standalone. Book 1 will introduce you to Zach, who is the main character in this. Book 1 follows a sibling of his, and so he's kind of in the background, but you get to know kind of the family dynamics. In this one, we are following Abigail and her sister, Abigail is running the bakery that was left to her by her father. Then the town councilmen come to her and say a woman cannot own a business in town. She needs to have a man's name on the deed. After thinking about it for a while, she approaches Zach and for a marriage of convenience in order to get his name on the deed, but their relationship will not change and everything will be status quo. Well, that doesn't happen. Zach's name gets on the deed, and we watch a relationship develop between the two. And it was just so sweet because neither one had any desire to be in a relationship. This was name only. And we watch them realize that they are falling for each other. And again, I loved it. And sticking with historical fiction, A Distant Melody by Sarah Sundin. So this is World War II set. We are following Allie, who is to inherit her father's ball bearing company, but in order to do so, she has to marry her father's second in command. And then she ends up meeting Walt, who is a friend of a friend, and he is a pilot, and he is going off to war. And they connect when they first meet, and a friendship builds. Walt realizes shortly after that she is promised to somebody else, and they just continue writing as friends. And he encourages her to look for God's plan in her life and not just to do things to satisfy her parents' wishes. He encourages her to try out another church if her current church is not meeting her needs or she doesn't feel settled, and really pushes her to listen to God. That was the biggest message in this one. And as things develop, the friendship grows deeper. They realize that they have stronger feelings for each other, but they both are okay, Walt's well, she is promised to another man. She's going to marry somebody else. I have to get over this. And she's I need to do this. This is what my parents want. I have to follow it. And as things develop, it changes, and the way they come together. There is one part in this where I was very, very annoyed with Walt and his actions, but just the way it ends in the end just made it all worth it. And let's go contemporary. And it's another book 2 in a series, and that is In Too Deep by Lynn H. Blackburn. So in this one, we are following Adam and Sabrina. We meet them in book 1, which is Beneath the Surface. This is the Dive Team Investigations series. And did I say it was romantic suspense? So we are following members of a dive team in this series. We met Adam in the previous book. We met Sabrina in the previous book. This is really a series that you probably should read in order. You probably could read this one out of order, but you really get to know the characters in the earlier book and see the friendship. They both like each other. Sabrina is, what is she? She's computer. Wow. It doesn't tell me. So Adam has turned to Sabrina to recover files from a laptop. So she's like computer forensics, something like that. And they both have feelings for each other, but neither one wants to act on that feelings, because what if the other person doesn't feel the same way? Then that would ruin the friendship. And the way the friend group really kind of pushes them and encourages them to act, I love this friend group, but this couple is the one that really sticks out to me. And let's go back to historical. That is A Lady in Attendance by Rachel Fordham. This is late 1800s, I want to say. Yes, 1898, set in the state of New York. We are following Hazel, who has spent the last 5 years in a reformatory for something that she was blamed for but did not do. She gets released and has to kind of start her life over. She ends up taking a job for a dentist, Gilbert. And Gilbert is very happy being a single man and focusing on his career. And as the two get to know each other, Gilbert starts to realize that he misses Hazel when she's not around. And then a friend group develops through Gilbert. Hazel gets to know some others, and this friend group bonds and tries to clear Hazel's name. And I just loved the friend group especially, but the way Hazel and Gilbert interacted and were determined to be friends until something more developed and happened. And the way that comes about, and the way Gilbert realizes, oh, I really like her, and what am I going to do about it? Such a sweet, sweet story. I really, really enjoyed it. Now we've got contemporary again. And this is an early Marriage and Convenience story that I read years and years ago. That is The Isaac Project by Sarah Monzon. I have reread it just last year. Was it last year? Or was it the year before? No, I reread it in 2025. And so we are following Becky, who wants to get married because her grandfather, who has raised her, is dying, and kind of his wish for her is to see her happy and with somebody. She cannot find, she just broke up with her boyfriend, and her grandfather is dying, and so she's like kind of desperate to try to find somebody. She ropes in her best friend to try to find her a husband. Her best friend reaches out to her boyfriend, and in turn they find Luke, who is a firefighter in another state, not even another community, another state. And he, after prayer and learning a little bit about the situation, he decides, no, this is what God wants me to do. And so he travels to California, where Becky is, and agrees to marry her. And so they get to know each other through that and putting God first. One of the main things about this is Luke's uncle says to him, you choose to love every single day. Love isn't only feeling, it is a choice. And I just absolutely loved that. Like Luke, I loved him. Is it Luke? Now I'm like, yes, it is. Okay. I'm thinking, did I get them mixed up with my other favorite book? Yeah, I just absolutely loved him. There is a couple things in this book that wasn't described enough. I think could have been expanded on more. It's not a perfect book. It is fairly short. It's only 280 pages. And so there's things that could have been expanded and developed a little bit more. Kind of what does Luke end up doing out in California? How does he get that job? What's going on? There are things we know eventually, but I would have liked to see it develop a little bit more. But the relationship and just the way Luke makes the choice, loved him. Another kind of marriage of convenience story that is Walking on Hidden Wings by Rachel Scott McDaniel. And we are following Geneva. What is his name? Warren. Wow. It is 1920s New York, and an arranged marriage has happened by Geneva's parents. And the Warren and Geneva decide to go through with it. Very shortly after the marriage, Warren is missing or supposedly killed, and Geneva goes in search because she doesn't believe the answers that have been told, and so she goes undercover to try to figure out answers. As it's progressing, we are flashing back to the early days of their marriage, when they first met, well, before their marriage, when they first met, and then the first bit of their marriage. And then it comes back in a year later, where Geneva is searching now. And every chapter ended on a cliffhanger. I could not put this book down. I had to know what was going to happen. And I love seeing the relationship develop. I love a marriage of convenience story. So seeing these two fall in love through an arranged marriage just made my heart happy. And then it's got mystery in it. And it just, I highly recommend this one. I was hooked. This was the first book I read by Rachel Scott McDaniel, and I've read more since, and I can't wait to read more. I just loved these characters. Okay, and a book I do not own is It Had to Be You by Susan May Warren. This is book 2 of the Christensen family series. It is a contemporary romance set in Minnesota. So we are following Eden, who is I think the oldest sister of the Christensen family. She is working as a journalist in the obits department in St. Paul, Minnesota. And her younger brother, the youngest Christensen, Owen, is a hockey player for the hockey team. What is the name of the team? I don't remember offhand now. I want to say Blue Stars, but it doesn't sound right. Yeah, I don't remember. It's not really that important, the name of the team. But so he is playing for the team, and Eden has really become the protector of Jace and really kind of mothering of him, taking care of him. Not Jace. Jace is the male main character. Eden has become kind of the protector of Owen and really like looking after him, making sure he gets to practice on time and doing his laundry for him and stuff. And then we have Jace, who is the enforcer of the team, is like on the hockey team. And it's really like kind of a role model for Owen, or Owen sees him as a role model. And Eden doesn't think Jace is a very good role model, and they are very opposite from each other. They fight every time they're together. And as we get to know both of these characters a little bit more, we see that just because you present something on the outside doesn't mean it's exactly what's on the inside. Just because you look like you have it all together doesn't mean you have it all together. And we find out what Jace is dealing with in the background and what Eden is dealing with in the background. And I absolutely loved the way this changed their dynamic. And the way that Jace was so sweet with Eden. And Eden is used to being the one that takes care of everything and has everything in order. And Jace really goes out of his way to make things special for Eden. I just absolutely loved this book and these two characters. And the last book I have to mention is Anchor in the Storm by Sarah Sundin. It is another book 2 of a series. It is the Waves of Freedom series. I feel like I have the series name wrong, but it's not. And this time we are following Lillian, who is a pharmacist. She is the younger sister of the guy from book 1. You do not have to read this series in order, but it will allow you to know kind of the dynamic between Lillian and her brother, and that book 1 gives you the brother and his girlfriend's relationship, and Lillian ends up living with her brother's girlfriend. So it's good to kind of know the background a little bit. And Archer is her brother's best friend. So it is a brother's best friend romance. Anyways, we are following Lillian, who has a prosthetic leg due to an accident when she was a child. She is a pharmacist struggling to find work as a woman in World War II. And she ends up getting a job at a pharmacy in Boston, where her brother and Archer are in the Navy, are sailors in the Navy. And then Archer comes from a family who is very well off. And Archer has a shield around him a little bit. A lot of women have looked at him just for his money, and he wants to find somebody who looks at him for him and will take him for him without the money. And then the two end up investigating a possible drug ring that is going on, or drug ring, and who is supplying the drugs to these members that do not have an actual prescription. Who is writing these prescriptions out, and how are they getting these drugs? And the two begin investigating. And I loved the strength of Lillian, how she always felt like she had to hide her prosthetic leg. And as the story develops, she realizes no, it is not against me. I can stand for myself. And the Archer realizes that, somebody's looking at me not for my money. And the way the two end up working together, and there is kind of a third act breakup that happens in it, but the way it is resolved and they come together in the end, I just absolutely loved. So those are 10 of my favorite couples that really stick out to me when I think about what couples in books have I really loved. And those are the ones that I was like, okay, yes, this couple and this couple, because I know their names. That means they stuck out to me if I have remembered their names. Now, I did have to look at my notes during this because, you know, as you're talking about a bunch right away, I was like, oh, wait, is that the right book for this? But that doesn't mean that they haven't stuck out to me. Just too much in the brain at one point in time, right? And so who are your favorite couples? What books would you recommend to me? I would love to chat in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.